Please note that the following report contains testimony of a sexual nature that may be upsetting to some viewers. Counsel on behalf of Eastern Cape Judge President Selby Mbenenge has teased that the tribunal probing sexual harassment allegations against the top judge will hear expert evidence that disputes the testimony that Mbenenge allegedly sent sexually explicit images to Judges Secretary Andiswa Mengo. Mengo, who accuses the top judge of sexual harassment in the form of in-person interaction and electronic communication, is currently under cross-examination before the Judicial Conduct Tribunal. And SABC News senior reporter Canny Maphanga is here with me to unpack day 8 of the hearings. Canny, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon to you.
Quite an eventful day as you listen to how there's going to be an emojis expert who's going to come and talk about what this means. And then there's now pictures that are said to have not found their way to cell phones. Talk to us about what exactly happened.
Well, that's the nature of cross-examination. We're not at a court, but we are at a tribunal, which is a fact-finding body, and it has to reach a conclusion on this first ever sexual harassment probe. And of course, it will have to hear both sides and the various evidence that they'll put before the tribunal. So Andiswa Mengo is now under cross-examination. The purpose of that is to test the version of events that she has placed before the tribunal. Of course, Advocate Muzi Skakane SC acts for the Judge President, Selby Mbenenge, and will act in the interests and upon the instructions given to him by his client, who contends that he never sent those sexually explicit images that form part of the sexual harassment complaint. So essentially what you've seen is a line of questioning which first seeks to lay the foundation of the severity of sexual harassment. What should happen if someone makes a false statement? If someone has an understanding of what lying under oath means, and which is a criminal offense of perjury. So you see the counsel first laying that foundation, then they begin to attack the credibility of the witness statement before the tribunal. They start at the complaints and look for discrepancies, little discrepancies in the complaint that they contend may not have taken place. Now, the initial complaint that would have been considered by the panel, who would have recommended a further probe on this issue. We've seen Advocate Skakane SC take issue with the fact that there is information omitted from the original complaint. Now, Mengo makes those concessions. However, those what was omitted rather is the statement regarding the explicit image that was sent, allegedly sent by the Judge President, and then the 4 laughing emojis that were sent in response. Now, we've already heard an evidence in chief that those emojis were sent in response, and we've heard the explanation behind why the Judges Secretary felt the need to respond the way that she did, and the use of emojis in the exchanges. And it all lies in the heart of what the nuance of sexual harassment is that there are power dynamics at play, which don't really favor the Judges Secretary, but may favor the Judge President, who is quite a senior figure within the judiciary. Then, of course, they're looking at those various explicit images, looking at the time discrepancies to discredit the evidence that has placed before. Then you've seen Skakane SC teasing that they're going to call in an expert that would have retrieved the information from both phones, who will illustrate that those messages didn't exist in both phones. Then, of course, they'll call in an emoji expert, if I could put it that way, to describe what an emoji means and what message you're trying to convey with those emojis. Of course, that hasn't happened yet, but this is some of the, I guess, the elements that they're teasing that they'll bring forward in order to effectively discredit the witness testimony before the tribunal. However, the difficulty in that line of questioning, although it is an instruction from the clients, is that it negates the power dynamics, which is central in understanding a complaint of this nature. It shifts the responsibility from, why would an alleged perpetrator send this image, to why did you entertain it and respond that way? So the burden shifts from the alleged perpetrator to now the victim, almost sitting there at pains.
Why did you handle it this way?
Yes, which is part of the problem in how society deals with gender-based violence cases of this nature. So you find the victim now, under intense scrutiny, having to explain why they garnered this type of reaction. It's as if it's unimaginable for one to expect, in this particular case, for a judge to act in a particular manner and know that maybe it wouldn't be appropriate to engage in this kind of exchange. However, that question shifts from that angle to now, why would the victim entertain it without taking into consideration that she is a junior Judges Secretary and that is a senior judge within that division? So a lot of questions really point the finger back at the victim and now places the burden on her to answer a lot of those tough questions, even though we've heard evidence that most of those messages were initiated by the judge president, and we've seen the evidence leader go through a pattern of the unrelenting and persistent nature of those messages and highlighting how there's difficult to get a space for room to outrightly reject those kinds of advances and the kind of nuances that come with that. However, it's going to be a tough number of days for Andiswa Mengo because every single aspect of that testimony will be questioned and cast doubts or aspersions on her lived experience.
And as you say, Canny, it's going to also be interesting to see then what these experts that they say they want to bring now have to say, and even the burden of responsibility. If they now, in the next coming days, we will see it, as you say, continue to shift towards this direction. But thank you so much for wrapping that for us. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Certainly, she has been tracking this story since day one, even before day one. Has been tracking this particular story. That's Canny Maphanga there, and be sure to catch her tomorrow as she tells us how day 9 would have gone.